Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Grab your morning drink. I'll explain what mine actually is and who I am in a second, and let's get started. So, if you're here today, we're all probably focused on the same thing, which is how to become our dream self, how to become the best version of ourselves. And I'm going to tell you the way to do that might actually surprise you a little bit. So, you should actually stop focusing on your goals, right? um, does that surprise you? You should really think about becoming the person who just naturally achieves those goals and what that looks like. So I want you to start with asking yourself, who do you want to be? Who do you want to become? So for me, I would really like to become somebody that is self sufficient, reliant on myself for income, and I don't have to work a 9 to 5 job in order to provide for my family. So my goal is to be able to have a job where I'm working for myself. But if I want to achieve that goal, then I need to think about what it looks like to embody that person. So I want you to ask yourself the same question and maybe introduce yourself in the chat. Not just who are you, but who do you want to be? What do you want to accomplish? You could even introduce yourself as if you've already achieved that. So you're setting your intention and you're already beginning to manifest it. So you might think about something like, I am healthy, I am productive, I am successful. Go ahead and think about who you want to be and put that in the chat so that I know who's here. And later on in the conversation, maybe I can give you some advice for how you can bridge the gap between your goal and what you want to accomplish. And how you can actually become the version of yourself that naturally achieves that. I want you to also think about, what would it look like if your life became just 1% better every day? Or maybe the opposite. What about if your life became 1% worse every day? Because those those small changes can have a massive impact. They compound over time. Oh, Ruby, thanks for being here, Ruby. Ruby wants to become someone who can be great in the future. And really, that's an amazing way to start, is how can you just be 1% greater today? What does that look like? What are those small steps you can take? So I recently revisited this book that I read. I mean, honestly, it's probably been years ago now. It's called Atomic Habits, by James Clear. It's definitely a bestseller. Probably a lot of people have heard of this book. If you're interested in developing better habits and becoming more productive because you want to work towards your goals, this is usually where people start. And this really helped my way of thinking and understanding that if I'm able to build habits where I'm working towards my goals naturally, then it doesn't have to take so much brain power to decide what I need to do every day in order to accomplish my goal. And I thought about the fact that, this became kind of ingrained in my philosophy and in my sense of what's important and what it takes, but I don't think I actually successfully accomplished applying this to my life. I still have a little bit of work to do to really become that best version of myself. I'm on that journey too. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of what I have achieved so far, but I still have a little bit of work to do, a little bit of ways to go. So I also remembered that I also bought this workbook. So this is the Atomic Habits workbook. It's a little bit more of like a journal type guide. It has fill in the blank charts and things like that. So I decided to start here so that I can actually begin to work on my processes and my daily thinking and how I'm going to apply these skills. And I thought it would be a fun idea to share all that information with you. So maybe just take it bit by bit, piece by piece, and work on this over time. We can have a live stream conversation like this together every morning and watch us each grow into the best version of ourselves every day as we work through the concepts together. So I need to take a little sip of my drink. You do the same. This it's not a soda. I actually do love healthy beverages. I love a ginger tea. I love making a watermelon juice. I was in a rush for energy, and so this is actually like a vitamin water from a gas station. Like the same way you get soft serve, like Coke or Pepsi or something like that. It's vitamin water, and they have this button that you can add energy to your drink. So this was the easiest way for me to start with some version of energy and tell myself I'm also getting vitamins in my sugar water. So sometimes you just have to focus on, like I said, being a little bit better, being a little bit closer to who you want to be. I didn't go right for the Coca-Cola. I at least got something that's a little bit healthier than that option, but maybe not quite as far as making a fresh juice at my house. So we're focused on those small improvements. I have a little circle that I wrote here just to further show you what this concept looks like. A lot of people are thinking outside in, like, I want to achieve this goal, so I have to work on the processes or the steps that it takes to accomplish that goal, and then I'll become the person that I want to be. So goal, process, identity. If you draw your circle goals like that, that's what's in each one. But we're actually thinking about this backwards. It should be the case that we first start with, who do I need to be? What type of processes would this person embody? And if I just work towards adding those processes to my daily routine one little bit at a time, then I can accomplish my goal. And the goals will come naturally because it's just a reflection of the core of who we are, what we already believe about ourselves, how we already act and live our life every single day. If we build ourselves up from inside out, what we believe about who we are, our identity, and we create habits that reflect our identity, then our goals are going to be naturally accomplished. We will naturally be drawn to those goals. I also want to show you this chart. So a lot of us think that progress is linear, where it might look backwards to you, so I'll have to work on that. But this is your result line, okay? And this is your timeline. And we think that if we just work on things, we'll just get better over time. It's just going to be a straight, narrow shot. We'll just look a little bit better every single day. That's not exactly the case. What's more likely to be true is something like this. So you work really hard every single day, and you're really not seeing much of a difference in your result. You're thinking, I'm working really hard, but those efforts compound. During this time, you might be a little bit disappointed. This is the valley of disappointment here. You might be thinking, like I said, I'm working super hard and I'm not really accomplishing the thing I want to accomplish. But then all of a sudden, you realize that those habits has compounded, your interest on your investment compounded, and your results just take off. And you hit that moment of momentum that everybody needs. You find the right support person in your system, you find the right job opportunity, you find the right exercise routine that works for you, and after being consistent with it every day, all of a sudden you're on the fast track towards your goals. So it also might be the case that progress looks like this. So again, not very linear. You might have days where you're doing a lot better, and then days where you struggle, and then you have to get back on the horse. But overall, if you're working on yourself a little bit at a time, then you're going to get a little bit better every single day. And even if you're have a day where you fall off the horse, you're still better than you were when you started. So you can still pat yourself on the back and be proud of your overall progress, your overall results. Thanks, Ruby. I'm glad that you're here. So something I learned, which really surprised me, is that if you try to get just 1% better every single day, then after a year, you'll be 37 times better than you were when you started. So that is a huge impact. But if you are just 1% worse every single day. So you don't try, you don't wake up and set a goal. You don't, go for that walk that you set. You don't try to eat healthy, whatever your goal is that you're working towards and the habits that you're trying to put into place. Then after a year, you'll be at 0%. You'll actually probably just be worse than you were when you started. So think about things like, um, if you wake up in the morning and you have a stressful day, like you forgot to put your clothes in the dryer, and so then you're running late for work because you still had to get that dryer cycle going so you could wear the right uniform that you needed. So you're running out the door and you're rushing, you're barely ready on time, and then you're driving in traffic, and then somebody cuts you off and you're already stressed out, so that angers you, and you start having road rage and driving crazy, and then because you're driving crazy, then you get in a wreck, and because you got in a wreck, now you're 3 hours late for work. So um, that's an example of how when you have that negative thinking pattern and you allow yourself to be stuck in those negative patterns, they will compound. You will attract more negative situations. It will get just a little bit worse over time. And that's the exact type of trap that we want to avoid falling in. So I think I want to share just a personal example that someone in my group chat shared with me this morning on what they're trying to achieve, what they want to become. So their dream is to grow their business where they don't have to work a 9 to 5 job, so similar to me, but more specifically, they also want to be a graphic designer. They want to learn more about Adobe InDesign and master it. So, Joe, if you watch that, that's you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. If you do get a chance to join us, and I would say, if that's what your goal is, you're focused on being self-sufficient and being a designer, then you have to think about, what would a designer do every day? How can I embody that identity? What does it look like to wake up in the morning and live as if I'm already a full-time self-sufficient designer? Well, then you have to think about, that's your identity, right? My identity is I'm a full-time self-sufficient designer. And then you have to think about your process. So what would that type of person do every single day? Well, they would probably wake up and think about what they're going to design. They would probably have a plan for their day on, what clients they need to work for, or what projects that they have to chip away at, and they would spend more of their time, even if it just goes from, no time a day to 1 hour a day, actually designing, actually working on that skill. And the more that you work on that skill every single day, the better you're going to get at it, and then eventually you'll be so proficient at your skill. You'll probably have met more people where they are proud of the work that you do. They're referring you to their friends, they're referring you to their customers, and then you have this network of people that are able to rely on you alone for your skills. And so then you'll naturally achieve your goal of being self-sufficient as a designer. So it's really important to bridge the gap between not only what do I have to do in order to become that person, but who do I need to be? And for me personally, I've realized that, a successful person probably doesn't, wake up at 10 a.m. and barely get up on time, throw their clothes on, and run out the door and make it to work just in time. And I got to be honest, that is historically who I am. I'm a night owl. I love to sleep in, and it's very hard for me to get energy in the morning. So I tend to just like barely get ready on time and run to what I need to do. Um, Whereas it's proven to be much more impactful to start your day with intention, like we're trying to come together and do right now. So thank you to everybody that has joined me and is spending time focusing on yourself through being here and being in this group and working together on changing your habits. You're already investing in your self development by considering these concepts and considering how it can apply to you. Um, and I'm working on doing that, but I also really see the value of having a community around me of like-minded people that are doing the same thing. So my name is Melon, and I recently started a group Discord of people that want to become full-time live streamers. They want to spend their time and their energy sharing what they're passionate about online, teaching other people these concepts, and willing to learn and grow themselves. So, for example, I'm teaching you right now about what I learned in this Atomic Habits book, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily the expert on the subject yet. I'm still willing to learn from you guys. If you have thoughts on what would make me more successful or more efficient or better habits that I can put into my life, I'm going to take that into consideration. I want to hear from you. But if you're interested in joining our group where we're working on things like this, like how we can start our day with an intention, we are working on achieving our goals full time, whether your goal is to be a designer or your goal is to be a full-time educator or content creator, I would really encourage you to join our Discord. So it's Vitality Social Network, and the link is in the description on the YouTube page. So you can certainly click it, and you're welcome to just be a community member, a viewer, having conversations with us, or if you are interested in growing and becoming a streamer, then please connect with me, and I'd be happy to help figure out what that looks like for you and what's going to work best for your process to embody the identity of who you want to be so you can achieve all of your goals. Another example that I have is, I'm a new mom, and something that came along with pregnancy was gaining a lot of weight. Actually, during my pregnancy, I lost a lot of weight. I mean, just to be honest, he was like a parasite sucking the energy and life out of me. I was the skinniest I had ever been, finding it really hard to eat. And then, oh, thanks, Ruby. We would love to see you in the Discord. Thanks for joining. So after my pregnancy, I spent this time kind of regaining my energy and rebuilding, and this is going to sound crazy, I would make a full batch of Rice Krispie treats and eat the whole thing every day, every day. And that's about all that I could eat because I was tired. I was a new mom. I was stressed out. I needed some way to get quick energy and to be a comfort food that I knew I could rely on. I knew would give me what I needed. I added some things to it to make it healthy. I'm like flaxseed and dates and some other things to kind of boost it up, right? But overall, it was a big pile of sugar and carbs. And so at first, my husband tried to convince me, like, maybe you should not eat that whole batch of Rice Krispie treats every single day. Maybe you should just eat a little bit at a time. And I thought, it's not really a problem. I'm breastfeeding. I'm burning off a lot of calories. I'm not eating any other foods. Like, what's the big deal? This is the way I'm getting my calories, right? But after like 2 or 3 months of, of that habit, I had gained 30 pounds. It absolutely compounded and made a really big impact on my life. And then I noticed from having gained that weight that I no longer looked in the mirror and identified with what I saw. I felt more self-conscious. I was feeling more down on myself. I wasn't able to fit into my clothes anymore, and I had to start thinking, okay, who do I really want to be right now? And do I want to keep compounding this negativity where I keep up the habit and then now I'm doing things like spending money on new clothes so that I can fit into them and wear them? Or do I want to lose weight? And if I want to lose weight, that's back to like my goal. It's going to definitely take a better process and better eating habits, right? But I'm going to start with thinking about my identity. Let's remember who I am. My identity is that I went to school for nutrition and dietetics. I'm a nutritionist. I absolutely believe in food as medicine, and what you eat matters and makes a difference in your overall health. So I have to remember like who I am and what I believe. And I also um, again, like I remember what I like to see when I look in the mirror. I want to be that person. I'm working towards being that person all the time. So I start with my sense of self, what I believe about myself, and then I can think about my daily habits I need to change. Okay, that was an easy one. Maybe you don't eat Rice Krispie treats every day, but for other people that could be let me start going on a daily walk. Let me switch from a sugar beverage to a 0 calorie beverage or something like that. What are those small, sustainable tweaks that we can make to our daily life? And then eventually over time, we will achieve our goal. And that's what happened. So I focused more on who I wanted to be. I changed my habit of what I was eating every single day. And then now I can fit into my pants again, and I didn't have to go buy new clothes. And I felt like that was a really big win. I felt really successful about that. Um, so that's just an example of what this concept looks like. What? That's an example of what this concept looks like. And then, so I really would love to hear from you again to think about either what do you want to accomplish or who do you want to be. So if you're not sure how how you go about it, what processes you need to put in place, maybe just start with sharing what is your goal, right? What is your goal? And then we can help you bridge the gap. Especially if you're not able to join live right now, but you watch this later on the replay, you can just put that in the comments, share your goal, and then we'll be able to have this conversation on the next stream. We can definitely circle back. You can also join our Discord, and we'll be able to connect there, so we can help you with figuring out if you want to achieve this goal. What kind of person do you need to embody? What are the habits that you need to build towards every single day? So then ultimately those goals are just drawn to you. They're just happening naturally because you don't have to spend brain power thinking every single day, this is my goal. What do I have to do to get there? You're just living as a person that will ultimately achieve that goal if you're taking small bite-sized steps every single day, to be a little bit better, to be a little bit different, to be the type of person who naturally achieves those goals. So again, my goal is to be self-sufficient, to be a full-time live streamer where I'm an educator. I have a community of people that are interested in the same things I am, and we want to learn and grow together. And so one of the things I'm going to do differently is, embody what that looks like, embody what a productive, successful person looks like by waking up a little bit earlier in the morning, taking time to think about these concepts and who I want to be, and living it. So I'm sharing it with you all. I'm having a live stream right now, and I hope that you like it, but it might not be perfect. It's my first go around, and that's okay. I'm open to feedback. I'm open to growing. I'm open to just being 1% better every single day. And I know that if I keep showing up for myself every weekday at 8:30 in the morning and having this conversation and think about these things and meeting people and learning, that eventually over time, it might not be perfect. I might miss some days or something like that, but eventually over time, I will hit that goal. I will have a live streaming community. I will have a network of people that are like-minded. I will have a full-time live streaming schedule that ultimately is bringing me income and paying my bills and taking care of my family. So if that's something that you're interested in as well, then I would love for you to be on the journey with me and join me every morning. Now, just to give you one sort of project or takeaway and how you can apply this to your daily life, start with drawing one of these circles. Or I guess if you're interested in the book, you can get the book, and we can work along with that, with each other together every single day. I literally just opened the book, I read the first couple pages, and then reflected on, oh, how does this apply to me? What have I done well? What can I try differently? And I'm going to keep chipping away at that every day. But draw yourself one of these circles. Think about what you want to accomplish. think about who you need to be in order to accomplish it, and then bridge the gap. How do you go from that identity to that goal through your processes, through your daily habits, and just start with one thing. One step that you can take to be a little bit better every single day. If you want, please share what you're doing in the chat so we know what you're working on and we can celebrate and encourage you, or give you a little bit of a push and motivation if you need it on the days that you're struggling. We all have good days and bad days, but we're in this together. And lastly, I just want to thank you. If you are here, like especially you, Ruby, and Chris, and Joe, and anybody that is in the Discord, thank you so much for supporting me on my dreams. I love feeling like we're all in this together and hyping each other up. And I'm really excited to continue this conversation. So I'm going to take your feedback. I'm going to learn and grow. And then I will see you all again on Monday morning. So thanks, everybody. Take care.